Just 1 second while I share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, perfect. Actually, I'll just leave it. I can do present mode. Present. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I'm very grateful for all of you taking your time to join this discussion. And first of all, thank you to Gaur Kumar Prabhu and Nitya Kishori Mataji for allowing me to be a part of the series. I know that I'm not really that much of an active participant in this group, but I'm still really grateful that you considered me for this service, and hopefully I'm able to speak something that will benefit all of you. And if I say anything wrong, please correct me, and if I make some mistake, please forgive me. So I'll start with some prayers to get blessings from the acharyas. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatham Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Batitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to my Guru Dev, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we have been on this amazing journey of Queen Kunti's prayers, and I'm fortunate enough to be the last one presenting these last two verses, which I think are actually very, very special. And to jump right into it, we'll start with the second last verse, which is on the topic of unalloyed devotion. So I'll read the verse, the synonyms, and the translation. Tvayi me nanya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvahatad adha gange vogham udanvati. Whoops. Tvayi, unto you, me, my, ananya vishaya, unalloyed, mati, attention. Madhupate, O Lord of Madhu, asakrit, continuously, ratim, attraction, udvahatat, may overflow, adha, directly, Ganga, the Ganges, Eva, like, Ogham, flows, Udanvati, down to the sea. Translation, O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. So when I first read this verse, it really struck me because I felt like this was the conclusion of Kunti Maharani's prayers. And there's various aspects to this verse especially that are worth kind of digging deeper into. And so that will mostly be the focus of this presentation, is digging really deep into this verse. And then the last verse I kind of used as a medium to talk about prayers in general. So to kind of set the mood for this verse and for Kunti Maharani's prayers, we all know that these prayers are said by Kunti Maharani in impending separation from Krishna, so that she and her family has spent a lot of time with Krishna. And after going through all the ups and downs that they went through, mostly downs, a lot of tribulations throughout, the whole Mahabharata. Now, Krishna has spent so much time and helped them so much through all the atrocities that they went through, and now Krishna is leaving. So you can only imagine the distress that Queen Kunti is going through, knowing that Krishna is now going to leave. So in this spirit, she's speaking these glorious verses, and her emotions come out through these verses about how she is so worried about what will happen after Krishna leaves. So in the previous session that we had, Vrinda really nicely explained the verse where she's asking Krishna that she wants to cut off the ties of affection. And and Vrinda also explained, what that exactly means. But if you have a bad enough memory like mine, I just wanted to recap, what her lecture was about, to kind of set the mood for this verse and how it's relevant to what Kunti Maharani is asking for now. So by cutting the ties of affection, what does she actually mean? So cutting the ties of affection doesn't mean any physical change in situation. And by that, I mean, she's not asking for sannyas. She's not asking to leave her family. She's not wanting to go away or wanting her family to go away. There is no change in physical situation that she wants. What she wants is a change in a mental situation. And I'm saying all of this, and it kind of feels like Kunti Maharani is, attached to her family in a material way, but that's not the case. Her prayers are more for us. It's for people like me who are attached to family members and attached to their material bodies. And these kind of prayers allow us to be able to pray for Krishna. She herself is a pure devotee. She already doesn't have any material ties of affection towards her family. She only has ties to her family in the sense that she sees it as a duty, and she sees it as, she sees Krishna in everyone, and that's why she's serving her family. So there, in no way is she seeking any transformation, because she's already a pure devotee. But what she means by ties, by why she wants to cut off these ties of affection, is because when you're attached to your family materially, and the relation is only bodily, it's a source of bondage. So Krishna becomes far away from our life, and our life becomes, the focus of our life only becomes to serve our own body, because it becomes my family, my kids, my wife, my husband, my house, my job, and you get caught into this, and it's an endless cycle which goes nowhere. So she knows this, and she doesn't want it, and she's worried because now Krishna is not going to be right in front of her eyes, and so she thinks that she will go back into, or she will, be attached to her family, and she will forget Krishna. So that's the spirit that she's in, and why she's asking to cut off the ties of affection. And she also knows that material relations are very temporary. We all know, and we all have experienced, loved ones exit from our lives due to death or other circumstances. So material relations aren't very temporary, even are very temporary. And also, not even that extreme of a situation like death or maybe someone going away. It's very obvious to us that we go through phases of our lives where we have, a set of people that we associate with. And then when you move to the next stage of life, those people kind of go away. So that just shows that, life is very dynamic and material relations are very temporary. And if we get caught up in these relations too much, and and only relate to these people on a bodily level, then in the end, it's not very beneficial to us, and it causes us more distress than relief our miseries. And in Bhagavatam, it says that one should not strive for happiness in this world. We should not strive for happiness from these kind of relationships, because there's people that work very hard and try very hard to, mend relations and maintain relations. But in the end, um, it's very dynamic. It comes and goes, and just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkha. So like the winter and summer seasons, the happiness and distresses, they come and go. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, it also says that the miseries come without asking. We don't ask for miseries, but they come anyways. So it's the same thing with happiness. It will come anyways. We don't need to strive for it. What we need to strive for is something higher. And so this is where Queen Kunti is at now, where she has, detached. She has gotten to the point in her prayers where she has asked for detachment, but now she's asking for the next thing. After detachment, what do we want? So detachment itself is not enough. It's good to pray for detachment, but that isn't the end. That shouldn't be the end of our prayers, because it's a symptom of life to love, to care, and to be human, and to have, desires and attractions, which she actually accepts in her prayers, which is why she prays to Krishna that she wants her attraction to be diverted towards Krishna. So she is not denying the symptoms of life. And it's the Mayavadis actually deny the symptoms of life, because they go through so much austerities. They torture their bodies. They live in complete detachment, and they completely nullify their senses to the point where they are completely denying the symptoms of life. And that is a very unnatural state, and that is going against the nature that Krishna has provided himself to us. And if he wanted us to be detached, if that was the goal of life, he would not have given us so many facilities to be able to feel, to love, to care, to be attracted to people or things. He would have not given us the ability to do that. So obviously there's a reason why Krishna has given us, so much of a developed higher consciousness to be able to feel and do so many things. And so to completely reject all those things is nonsensical. And the Mayavadis, since they have completely reduced Krishna to, an impersonal state, they're only seeing his effulgence. They're not seeing his personality. They don't see his form. They don't see his personality. And so they reduce not only him, they reduce their own existence into pretty much nothing. In Ishopanishad, the Vedas personified, they say, Hiranmayana patrena satyasyapi hitam sukham tattvam pushana pavranu satya dharmaya vishte. So they say that please remove this effulgence that you have that prevents us from seeing your real form. And so if Kunti Maharani was just asking for detachment, then that would not be a complete prayer. So this is why this verse becomes very important. And I'm sure you guys have heard of, this Bhoga Tyaga pendulum, where, because it is so unnatural for us to, renounce everything. If we do end up doing that, it's a very extreme end of this pendulum, where you are most likely to swing right back to the other side, which is bhoga. So it's, you renounce everything, you become detached, but then it's not sustainable, and so you swing to the other extreme, where you engage in all these material activities, because it is not a sustainable way of living. And this really reminds me of what a lot of dietitians follow in how they prescribe a diet to their clients. If 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 a client is having a lot of trouble following a certain diet, suppose they have a lot of sugar cravings, they don't tell the person to give up completely sugar. Like, if you have a craving for sugar, don't do anything about it. You can't eat, you have to starve. That's the only solution. They don't tell them to do that. What they tell them to do is to replace that craving with something else. So if they have a craving for a donut, they will tell them, okay, if you have that craving, just replace it with an apple. So change it with an healthier alternative. So essentially, this is what is the essence of our life, where we're not cutting everything off, stopping everything, and isolating ourselves completely to become a realized person and achieve the goal of life. We are replacing the objective, and we are replacing the bad habits with the good. So if someone likes trying a lot of different food, you can do the same thing, except that now you're offering it to Krishna and you're making it into bhoga and then prasadam. So that's just an example of how detachment is not the solution. The solution is to engage our entire body, mind, and spirit in serving and thinking about Krishna. And that's where the purpose of life comes into play, where the purpose of our human life is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Save pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. So we should have unalloyed and uninterrupted devotion, unmotivated devotion towards Krishna. And that is the purpose of life. We should not go to Krishna for any, you can go to Krishna for your own personal, desires, but the goal is to love Krishna unconditionally and anyabhilashita shunyam. So not have any of your own desires, but or have only the desire of serving and loving Krishna. And that is the ultimate purpose of our lives. And that is what Kunti Maharani in this prayer, she's actually praying for. So we come to this world because we have forgotten that relationship with Krishna. And now we're, in this hospital where we're trying to revive this relationship and be reminded of this relationship with Krishna. So the whole goal of this verse is to be attracted to Krishna. And that's what Kunti Maharani is praying for. So how exactly can we be attracted to Krishna? Well, the first thing is that you have to choose one, either the material world or Krishna. You cannot have both. And Prabhupada gives a very nice example in the purport where he says a young woman cannot be with her paramour and her husband at the same time. She has to pick one. So the same thing, we can't do Krishna consciousness on the side and then engage in our material activities on the side. That will never elevate us to the right consciousness and give us the ability to love Krishna. So that is why it is a good idea to be attracted to Krishna, because that is everlasting, whereas if the material world is not. So how to be attracted to Krishna? Well, the first thing is you cannot be attracted to Krishna without his mercy. And how do you get his mercy? Well, he is very merciful. We all know how merciful Krishna is and how forgiving he is. But the one thing that he really, really likes is service, is devotional service. And that's why it's so much reiterated again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, where we are not meant to renounce everything and do nothing. He didn't tell Arjuna to sit down and meditate and do nothing. He said, engage in devotional service, do your duty for me, and keep your consciousness on me. And that is the perfection of life. So how to get Krishna's mercy. First, perform service, and I'll get more into what that exactly means. The second thing is that you just have to love him. It's so easy, to see around us how people fall in love with each other, and love is so much uh, the subject and the object of every movie, every song. So it's something very attractive. And a lot of the time, a lot of the people that I talk to, it seems like they have a lot of love in their heart where they don't, and they always say, I've heard this phrase so many times where, she doesn't deserve my love, or he doesn't deserve my love, or I have so much love that I don't know where to put all of it in. So even to the atheists, even to the people that are not aware about Krishna and the repository of love that he has, and how we can place all this love towards him, they realize that there's something unnatural about this world, there's something odd about this world, where no matter how hard I try, it doesn't seem to work. The love that I give people doesn't seem to be enough, and it's not as satisfactory. So the right thing to do, obviously, to get Krishna's mercy is to love him. And how does one do that? In the Brahma Samhita, Brahma says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. So we're smearing our eyes with the ointment of love. Everywhere you look, so if imagine if you're smearing something on the pupils of your eyes. Everywhere you see, you will see Krishna and his love. That is what Krishna wants. And to achieve that is seemingly very difficult, and it is difficult. But in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada, in the end, he very nicely explains that we should be patient. It takes time, but the most important thing is that that we have to have faith, and we have to trust the process and be patient, and Krishna will show his mercy in the end. So that is, just a few points about how to get Krishna's mercy. And that is from and then on the other side, our material senses cannot help us understand Krishna. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grahayam Indriye Sevan Mukhehi Jivadav Swayam Eva Sfuratyada. So our material sensors are so contaminated that we cannot understand Krishna. We cannot be attracted to Krishna with our own material senses. And in order to be attracted and love Krishna, one, you need Krishna's mercy, but also you need to engage your tongue, which is taking Krishna prasadam, and to chant the holy names. And that will purify your senses, purify your tongue, purify your consciousness, to the point where you can actually understand Krishna and actually be attracted to Krishna. And why is this relationship with Krishna so special? It's because the relation with Krishna is not like other material relations. As we already talked about, Krishna is very, very merciful. And he's very, very forgiving. It's always a reassurance to know that Krishna will never, no matter what you do, Krishna will never abandon you. That is a huge reassurance. And that relation is not possible in this material world from anyone. That relation is only possible with Krishna. If there's something I read the other day where I think it was some purport from Prabhupada where he said, actually, I don't know if it's from Prabhupada, but it was a very interesting point where, when a couple, unfortunately, if they ever get divorced, they don't want to see each other again. They despise each other to the point so much that after spending so much time, so many years, they develop so much hatred towards each other that they don't want to see each other anymore. And then there's us who in a way, have divorced ourselves from Krishna. We have told him, like, bye, I'm leaving. Like, we're going to the material world where we can enjoy our senses and, don't need you anymore. So, in a way, we divorced Krishna, but he has still not abandoned us. He doesn't say, I don't want to see you anymore. He is waiting eagerly and crying for us, waiting for us to come back. So that relation is very, very special. It's not similar to any, you cannot find any other relationship in this world where someone is that forgiving and that merciful. And going back to Queen Kunti, she knows that, she feels that, and that's why she doesn't want to be attracted to anyone else. She wants to be only attracted to Krishna because she knows that is the ultimate relationship. So how to engage the mind and body in Krishna? Well, there's so many ways, and especially in our path that Prabhupada has given us, there are so many ways that you can engage your mind and body in Krishna. There's so many different services that you can do. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyanam, Atmanivedanam. So there's so many different things that you can do. You can engage all your skills, your talents in serving Krishna. And it's a blessing because it's hard enough to find an activity that we like, and if you have so many options of doing so many things to be able to please Krishna, then it makes it a lot easier. So Prabhupada has given this path to us where he has given a place to everyone, and given everyone a chance to be a part of this society where they can be themselves, but at the same time please Krishna. So by engaging our mind and body in Krishna, we're performing devotional service. And to kind of go in a loop again, we're doing all of this to, we're engaging in devotional service, and actually by performing devotional service, we get detachment. So wherever, at the point where we started, it's like, we need detachment. To be able to engage in Krishna consciousness, we need to be detached from the material world. So I always had this question of, it kind of felt like it's the chicken and the egg. It's like, what came first? Did the chicken come first or the egg come first? Who knows? So in this sense, it's like, okay, do we need detachment first, or do we need to engage in devotional service and then we get detachment? So I felt like the best solution for that I have heard, and again coming from Prabhupada, is to just chant Hare Krishna. So if we're just engaging, like in what Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Rupa Goswami says, if we're just engaging our senses, then the detachment will come, the ease of life will come in leading a devotional life, and all things will kind of just come into place. And all of us here being devotees, I feel like we all have experienced this, where it's like I couldn't even chant one round, and then all of a sudden now I'm initiated. So like, how did that happen? It's because in the beginning you have a little bit of faith, adau shraddha tatha sadhu. You start with a little bit of faith, and that faith allows you to progress more and more, and then you get mercy of devotees, you get mercy of Krishna, and that allows you to be more and more attracted towards Krishna. So in this verse, I really liked, and it really brought to my attention this analogy of flowing. And the first time I read this verse, I was reminded of all these other references in the Shastras about this analogy of flowing. So in this particular verse, Kunti Maharani is talking about the Ganga, the river Ganga, which is pure and connected to Krishna. So Ganga is coming directly from the causal ocean, and it's flowing effortlessly. So Kunti Maharani is asking for her attention to as purely, as effortlessly flow, not just flow she says udvahatad, which means overflow. She wants her attention and attraction to be overflowing in the direction of Krishna, that too without any deviation. So that I think is very, very powerful. And that also reminded me of a verse in Bhagavad Gita, which is along the same lines of like flowing. And in 2.70, Krishna is saying that a person who is not disturbed by the flow of desires, kind of like how, you know, a river is flowing into the ocean is not disturbed. That's how we should be with our desires. We might have a lot of desires. Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita that you have desires. We all have desires. You don't need to deny the fact that we have desires. But just like the ocean is not affected by the river water, you know, flowing turbulently into it, it still remains calm. We should still let those desires come and just stay calm. So I just thought it was like a nice reference to, you know, this analogy of flowing. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam, Dhruva Maharaj also prays to be engaged in service like the flow of a river. So it's just a very nice way of kind of relating and kind of picture and imagining how effortlessly and how naturally, especially naturally, that our love and our attention should flow towards Krishna. It should not be something manufactured. There's the example of a river just reiterates the fact that it's a very natural, easy process, and or it should be an easy process, and that's the stage that we want to be at. So Kunti Maharani, you know, she's been through a lot. She's been through a lot at this point, and she has gotten to this stage where she's praying that she's giving her ultimate prayer, Krishna, I want, you know, to be constantly attracted towards you. And it's I made this slide because I really wanted to appreciate the fact that after going through so much, she never lost her composure. She never stopped thinking about Krishna. She never lost faith in Krishna. I mean, she always did what a devotee would do, what a pure devotee would do. And there's a long list of things that happen with her, which to us might seem that they're very unfair. But she always had this spirit. She had this devotee mentality. And that devotee mentality, by that what I mean, I heard in one lecture by Radhanath Maharaj, that if everything is going according to what you want it to be, a devotee actually would feel very scared. So if everything I want is happening, then it should be scary, because everyone knows that in this material world that things are supposed to go wrong. So if all of a sudden everything is happening according to what you want, that means there's no place for God in your life. And so that is actually more scary other than something bad happening to us. So that's what Radhanath Maharaj was saying in his lecture, that this devotee mentality is, even through a lot of tribulations, it's, you take it as a mercy of Krishna. And that's exactly what Kunti Maharani did. I mean, she was an ideal little girl when she got the boon from Durvasa Muni, that whenever, you know, she could say a mantra to any demigod and they would give her a boon. So seemingly very, you know, very nice boon that she gets, lives a very auspicious life. But then, you know, she, out of the goodness of her heart, you know, one day she feels inspired by the sun god. And so she says the mantra to him, and then she gets, you know, a son. And then, you know, it's hard to imagine what she must be going through, a young girl, you know, now with the son. So she's going through so many disturbances in her life, but she never loses her faith. Then she gets married to Maharaj Pandu, and then, you know, there's a whole set of other things that happen with that, where he gets cursed, and they're not able to, and he's not able to have any children. Then he ends up passing away. Then, you know, she's taking, and then she's taking care of 5 sons on her own, who have issues with, you know, the Duryodhan side of the family, where now they're exiled, you know, they're almost burned alive, you know, they're exiled into the forest, and she loses, you know, the son that she had gotten from the sun god. That son ends up being, you know, against her own 5 sons. So the amount of distress that she would go through during that time. So all these things, you know, are very difficult to imagine what she might have been gone through. But she was always surrendered to Krishna. She never lost her surrender to Krishna. She never gave up, and she always had him on his side. And now, after going through all of this, we've already read the prayer where she says, you know, let these calamities keep coming, so that I don't forget you. So she is so less worried about her own material comfort. She is not worried that, oh, I will have to go through, if I pray for this, I'll have to go through so many other difficulties. She doesn't care about her material comfort. All she cares about is her ultimate purpose, her higher purpose in life, which is to love Krishna. And so for that, she's wanting and willing to do anything. And so this is the essence of this prayer, where she has talked about, you know, so many things that has happened throughout her life, all the tribulations she's gone through, and why she's here today now praying for this, because that is what she's asking for and praying for this entire time. And this prayer is especially special because she is a mother. She's a family woman. She is not some renunciate. She's not some, you know, sage. She's a family woman with 5 sons, very loving, caring towards, you know, her family. And still she is engaged and surrendered to Krishna. So, you know, after seeing her example, we should learn, you know, the same thing and implement that same thing into our lives, where, you know, we might be surrounded by a lot of family and a lot of material responsibilities, but it is still possible to be completely surrendered to Krishna. And why, so to kind of end the discussion on this verse, why is this such a wonderful verse? I found this verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I'll just read it, and then I think you guys will understand why this is so special. So it says, Mad guna shruti matrena mai sarva guhasaye manogatir avichinna yatha gangam bhasom buddha. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, just as the celestial waters of the Ganges flow unobstructed into the ocean, so when my devotees simply hear of me, their minds come to me, who reside in the hearts of all. So if you see the similarity between this and what Kunti Maharani is saying, it is very similar. Kunti Maharani is praying for one thing, and Krishna is promising that same thing to his devotees. He's saying that just like the Ganges flow unobstructed into the ocean, if you simply engage in hearing about me, you will come to me. You will attain pure love for me. So this prayer works, and this prayer is what Krishna wants us to pray for, and this is evident through this verse. So now going into the last verse of these prayers, and I'll just read this last verse. Shri Krishna Krishna Sakha Vrishna Risha Bhavani Druk Rajanya Vamsha Dahana Napavarga Virya Govinda Godvija Surarti Haravatara Yogeshwara Khila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Shri Krishna, O Shri Krishna, Krishna Sakha, O friend of Arjuna, Vrishni, O descendants of Vrishni, Rishabha, O chief, Avani, the earth, Druk, rebellious, Rajanya, Vamsha, dynasties of the kings, Dahana, O annihilator, Anapavarga, without deterioration, of Virya, prowess, Govinda, O proprietor of Golokadham, Go of the cows, Dvija, the Brahmanas, Sura, the demigods, Arti, Hara, to relieve distress, Avatar, O Lord of who descends, Yoga, Ishvara, O master of all mystic powers, Akhila, universal, Guru, preceptor, O preceptor, Bhagavan, O possessor of all opulences, Namaste, respectful obeisances unto you. Translation: O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief amongst the descendants of Vrishni, you are the destroyer of these political parties, which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of the transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distresses of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances. So, using this verse, I kind of wanted to just talk about what is the importance of prayers in general. So, prayers, offering prayers or vandanam is one of the 9 processes of devotional service. And it's very evident that prayers are actually used throughout a lot of religions. There's a lot of references to Christianity, and Christians also, they believe a lot in prayers. And even atheists, I would say, people, when they're put in such a dire, difficult situation, even they, when they are so helpless, even they resort to prayers. And the power of prayer is so much because it is very uplifting. It is, it gives us, prayers give a sense of hope, and it gives humility. And I'll talk a little bit more about, the power of what's in a prayer, but just to talk about, the importance of why praying is so important. It's more for us than it is for Krishna. Krishna is immensely pleased when we offer prayers to him, but prayers are more to keep us in the right consciousness. And that's why there's so many prayers in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is overflowing with so many prayers from so many pure devotees. And each devotee that offers, their own set of prayers has kind of their own touch and their own feel to it. And while I was getting into this verse about and these verses and prayers by Kunti Maharani, I kind of peeked into the other verses by Gajendra, the other prayers by Gajendra and Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj, and they all were in a very peculiar situation, which established the mood for how they ended up praying. Like Gajendra, he had a crocodile on his foot. He was in immense pain. And we can relate to Gajendra because we are in this material world, which is very similar to having a crocodile on our foot. It is the same amount of pain, believe it or not, if you accumulate, all of the miseries that we have to go through throughout our lives. It is equivalent or worse than having a crocodile stuck to your leg. So Gajendra is in this situation where, he has nowhere else to go to. He has no other hope except for offering these prayers to Krishna. And so the power of prayers really comes through in Gajendra's prayers because he actually remembers prayers from his previous birth. It's not even, he's an elephant in this birth, but he remembers prayers from his previous birth and is able to offer them. So that is very powerful. And then with Prahlad Maharaj, he in the beginning of his prayers, he tells Krishna that I am not qualified. I come from a family of demons, of asuras, so I'm not qualified enough to offer any prayers for you. And but still he offers that is his humility, that he is saying that he's not qualified enough to offer his prayers. But but that level of humility is what Krishna wants to see and what pleases him the most. And after Prahlad Maharaj goes through so many atrocities in his own life, again, like Kunti Maharani, he's not lost hope, and his love for Krishna is ever growing. So all these prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam, they give us so many different moods and situations and references for us to take and implement into our lives. So we don't have to invent our own prayers. And I know I have this problem where I don't know how to pray. I really don't know how to pray. And I have to keep reminding myself that there's already these prayers written, and it's not about memorizing prayers and just talking like a parrot in front of Krishna, just offering, saying the prayers. It's more of getting into the mood. So what should we learn from these prayers? The first thing is how these pure devotees are praying. They're in a very humble attitude, in a very sincere attitude, and they have accepted Krishna as the supreme, and they are completely surrendered. That is their mood when they're praying. Then what are they praying for? So I talk a little bit about this in the next slide, but what they're praying for is love for him. So that pleases Krishna the most. At least I'm not in the stage where I'm constantly just asking for love for Krishna. There's other things that I am engaged with and that I end up asking for. But the ultimate purpose is to pray in such a way that we are only asking for his love, and we are only asking to be only engaged in his service. What is their spirit? I kind of talked about this already, where they're in the spirit of surrender to Krishna. And what is their sincerity? They are extremely sincere. Their attention is not diverted to anything else. They are in extreme situations where they are humbly asking for help to Krishna, just like Draupadi. She was in a plethora of people around her, but she was she could not get help from anyone except for Krishna. So her sincerity was very high. And we might think, how can we pray with such an attitude, every single day, when we might not be in such situations? Like, do I have to be in a really horrible situation to be able to pray that sincerely? Well, the truth is that we already are in kind of a horrible situation. The material world is not a very comfortable place. And like my Guru Maharaj says, this is a very awkward place to be in. So I don't think we need to be in more of a worse situation to be able to pray that sincerely. Just by following, these pure devotees, we should try to offer sincere prayers. So what are some elements? I'm just going to check the time. Okay. So what are elements of a prayer? I was kind of looking into this, and I came across a lecture by Radhanath Swami Maharaj, where he very nicely divides prayers into three major sections. The first part of a lot of prayers is glorification of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna himself says that he likes it when devotees are glorifying him. And actually this last prayer that Kunti Maharani is offering to Krishna is glorifying him. She talks about how Krishna descends to the material world to reclaim his devotees and to annihilate the kings who are causing, distress in this world. He is a friend to the cows and brahmanas, and cows, brahmanas, and devotees are very special towards him. He is a destroyer of political parties that disturb the earth. He is Govinda, who is the giver of pleasure to the cows. And so in this way, she's glorifying the Lord a lot. And a lot of prayers, even I was looking through Bhishma Pitama's prayers, he glorifies Krishna in a very interesting way, where he talks about all the things that happen on the battlefield and how Krishna broke his promise to keep, Bhishma's promise, and how he protected, Arjuna, and all the events that happened in on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Bhishma Dev talks about those in the essence of glorifying the Lord. And there's so much to glorify about him. There's so many description of his form, his pastimes, and by glorifying him, not only is Krishna pleased, but at the same time, it reminds us of his glories. By glorifying the Lord, we are reminded of how he has unlimited opulence, how he has unlimited beauty, how he has unlimited love and affection and wealth and prosperity. And that allows us to love Krishna even more. Then the second aspect of prayers is humility and gratitude. So that is very important. And it kind of draws a thin line between what can be a prayer and what can be a demand. If you don't have humility in your prayer, it can very much sound like a demand. Because the moment we feel like we're entitled to something and we don't have the humility for it, for asking for something from the Lord, then it becomes, I deserve this, you have to give this to me. So it's very important to keep a attitude of humility. And the acharyas do this very well because there's so many bhajans, especially it reminds me of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amar Jivan. That whole bhajan is in so much humility about I am, a fallen soul. And this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, speaking, who is the furthest away from being a fallen soul. And he, but because of this humility, he is talking about, all the anarthas that he has, and he's praying to Krishna that please relieve me of these anarthas. If you don't have humility, there's nothing that you can ask for because you don't have gratitude and you don't have the mood to be able to glorify Krishna and put him as the supreme and understand that we are his devotees and we are here to serve him. So this aspect of humility is very important. And then the last aspect is of a prayer is to ask for a benediction. And what these pure devotees in their prayers, what they're asking for mainly is, what Dhruv Maharaj is asking for, what Prahlad Maharaj is asking for, what Kunti Maharani is asking for, what Bhishma Pitama is asking for. They're all asking for unalloyed devotion to the Lord, always be engaged in his service, to always love him, to always be surrounded by devotees. That is what they're asking for. We might not always be asking for these things in our prayers. We might be asking for other things, but Krishna is still pleased that we go to him. No matter what you pray for, if you're asking it from Krishna, he gets pleased by it. So even if we might be asking for material things, we by praying to Krishna, we've always heard that if you ask Krishna to fulfill your desires, he would fulfill your desires in such a way that your desire itself will go away. So that's very true in the sense that he's looking out for us, and if we pray and submit to him, he gets pleased with us and will give us the ultimate goal of our life, which is attaining pure love for him. So just a few verses about what in Shikshashtakam Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed for is na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmani ishware bhavatad bhakti rahitu kitvai. So he says, I don't want wealth, I don't want women, I don't want followers, all I want is your devotional service, birth after birth. And then he says, this is actually one of my favorite verses, yuvatinam yatha yuni yunam cha yuvato yatha mano bhiramate tadvan mano me ramatam tvai. Just as the mind of young ladies take pleasure in a young man, and the minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone. That shows that the power of love that we already have in this life and how we can direct that towards Krishna. So kind of just to conclude this session and to conclude this series, the power in prayers is extremely important and is extremely powerful because it uplifts our mind. I read somewhere that even people that don't believe in God in general, even they pray because it's purifying to you. It's purifying, and it's a very positive energy that gets built inside of us when we pray. It fosters humility, like we already talked about. It establishes that Krishna, you are the supreme. I am, a insignificant part and parcel of you that just wants to come back to you. So that completely changes our consciousness. It allows us to enter into a higher spiritual realm. Prayers allow us to remind us of what our ultimate goal of life is, and prayers are actually, we are directly talking to Krishna. We might read about Krishna, we might chant, and chanting itself is a way of having direct conversation with Krishna. But to, at least to my mind, when I'm reading a prayer, it's like it is full focused attention, directly talking, having a conversation with Krishna. And that can only happen through a prayer. Prayers can do what we cannot. Praying for something, again, when someone is in such a difficult situation, they end up praying because at that point there's nothing else that we can do. There's nothing, that the situation is so out of control that the only hope is prayers. So prayers can do what people cannot. And prayers never go in vain, and especially prayers never go in vain when devotees pray. So Krishna is very favorable towards devotees, and that's why we see so many people that ask for prayers from other devotees, because they know that the power of the prayers from a devotee are very powerful, and Krishna listens to his devotees. So even the slightest endeavor. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Neha bhikramana shosti pratyavayano vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even the slightest endeavor that you take, in devotional service, the smallest prayer that you make, the one step that you take towards Krishna, Krishna will come running 10 steps towards you. The fact that you are praying to Krishna is enough, enough for him to feel, your intensity and show mercy to you. And as merciful as he is, he feels more, close with you when you offer prayers to him, because it is such an intimate exchange. So just to end, I wanted to state a quote from Mother Teresa. Actually, she says that more tears are shed in this world from prayers that are answered than from those who go unanswered. So it's really, this is really powerful. When our prayers get answered, it's so uplifting, and it's so inspiring in our devotional service that we grow closer and closer to Krishna. So just imagine the tears that we shed from, these prayers that go answered is more than what the prayers that go unanswered. I have never heard anyone say, oh, I shouldn't have prayed. Oh, that was such a waste of time. That was useless. That prayer was useless. I've never heard anyone say that, because that is the power of prayer. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time, and I apologize if I said anything wrong. And thank you again all for being here. And if there's any questions or comments, I'll be open to listening.
Hare Krishna. That was absolutely amazing, Sindukanya Mataji. This was like one of the best classes, and you cracked it. I mean, you are the best person to end the series. There's so many. I was just taking notes, and every point, one point after another, was like better than the previous point. I'll just mention a few things. Replacing, you talked about detachment first, replacing bad habit with good habits, like donut with an apple. If everything is happening according to what you want, then there's no place for God. I really like that point. And then Kunti Maharani being a family woman, these prayers made more sense because she has 5 kids and so on. And we also have similar responsibilities. I really like that one as well. And then the verse that you quoted, Madguna Shruti Matrena, actually that is also spoken by Kapil Dev in the third canto, 29th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So very, very powerful verse. So thank you for sharing that. And then I really liked how you ended it with the importance of prayers, the elements of prayers, the 3 elements that you talked about: glorification, humility, and gratitude, and then praying for benediction, and then the power of prayers. And the thing that I like most is how we can attract the mercy of the Lord is through service, through love, and by being patient. So thank you again. So many. I'm just definitely going to hear again this class. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to share some reflections or comments, questions?
Sindukanya Mataji, it was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. I just didn't want it to stop. And the effort I think you have put into this, drawing so much from so many different scriptures, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ishopanishad, it's just amazing. Thank you so much. And yeah, as Gaurakumar Prabhu said, I'm definitely going to hear this again. It was so nourishing. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for joining tonight.
Vinay Prabhu, you want to share something?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, I mean, the like class was like every point was gem in itself. I really loved every point she mentioned, and like Sindhu's devotion and surrender to her Guru and Guru Maharaj and Guru Ma is exemplary. That's why I think she could speak so fluently all these esoteric points, which like came naturally to her because she follows Maharaj, she hears his lectures and very keenly meditates on it. So it's everything was simply amazing and it was really nourishing. And even it was like surprise for me to hear like this way, like she was like nervous and I have to like throughout the day I have to tell her many times you are going to be great, but still like she was so thank you so much. And yeah, like certainly like she's Maharaj and Guru Ma, they are both are like very affectionate towards her, and that is for a reason. And yeah, I'm proud of her and well done. Thank you so much.
Actually, he's the one that kept inspiring me because he was always telling me and reminding me of how this is a service, like this is a service to your Guru Maharaj, just like you clean pots in the kitchen, this is a service. So treat it like a service and you'll be fine. So, I'm not that great at public speaking, so that's why I was nervous, but he was there to, and Lekha as well, both of them were there to always support me.
Amazing family, pushing one another towards Krishna. Perfect. Krishnan Prabhu wanted to speak something. Krishnan Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this was such a wonderful class. All the points that that Gaur Kumar Prabhu said, that those were wonderful points. There was one that stuck with me, and I'm going to keep it with me for the rest of my life, which is applying the ointment in your eyes. I think you made that point where we could see Krishna and Krishna's activities everywhere. That's something that was, it just touched my heart. And then the mood of the prayer and the components of a prayer is something that I have never heard before, and so I'm going to listen to this class again. Thank you very much, Mataji. This was such an amazing class.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah, the Bhakti, the Brahma Samhita is I love the Brahma Samhita, and the smearing the ointment of love that comes from the Brahma Samhita. So that's definitely, you know, one verse that I really always keep close to my heart, because it is so wonderful how Brahma prayed to Krishna to and inspired all of us. So
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, thank you.
Lekha Mataji, please.
Haribol Sindukanya, really very, very, very nourishing class. So actually this class was surprise. So she didn't even tell us like what she was going to talk about, but really like this class, like all that I kept hearing throughout your lecture was like pure love for Krishna. There was just like so many points, like so many points, so many analogies, so many verses from Shastras, all of them just coming back to the point that Krishna will love you like no matter what. And that understanding that, yeah, we are all personal, we all have our own like ups and downs, desires, but as long as you're rendering service to Krishna, like, you know, Krishna will pull you back. It is very, that fact is like really encouraging, and it truly means a lot, because um you know, it's so easy to like keep swaying, but just carrying this point in your mind all the time is, it's the most encouraging thing that I can ever ask for. So really thank you, it was an amazing class. And just for others, like she's been preparing for this class like so much hard work. She puts so much hard work, so much. She's been studying for like, she usually studies, but then just keeping this lecture in mind, she has done like tremendous amounts of hard work. I've been more than a month actually. She's been like just working on it, preparing notes, references. She hid away all the notes so that we don't know what content is she gonna render. But truly a hard worker, and really inspired by you and Vinay. Thank you so much. Amazing class.
thank you, Lekha. It's all mercy of association from devotees like you, and like being, you know, close to Maharaj. You know, his mercy flows effortlessly like the Ganga. So thank you.
Hema Mataji, would you like to speak anything?
Yes, Sindukanya, amazing class. I literally felt like a very great exalted Vaishnava is speaking. Like you flew so well, and you reminded us the importance of prayer. So thank you so much for that. It is definitely we hear this glorification of Krishna so much, and we read about it, but when we go in front of Krishna, we forget everything. So yes, it's not as easy as it looks. You have to really keep thinking about Krishna all the time, and this prayers are just amazing. I mean, I don't know, as you said, you don't know how to pray. Even I was thinking, like, even I don't know how to pray. Like these great devotees pray so well. um, so thank you for bringing up that point, and really all the best, and happy to see you preaching so well, just like your Guru Maharaj, and lots of blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, Hema. And just to point out again, I feel like even if we don't remember a lot of prayers, the way Radhanath Maharaj is divided, you know, prayers into these three categories, it's very easy to, you know, stand in front of Krishna and just follow that same three categories. Like you see Krishna, you glorify him, like you look so beautiful, you're so powerful, you're so opulent, you're so merciful. You first glorify him, then you can, you know, establish your own, you know, humility where, you know, I am, you know, a struggling soul in this material world. You know, I made all these mistakes yesterday. I did this, I did that. And, you know, but I'm still like coming to you because you are all merciful. And then again, ask for like the third aspect, which is like you ask for a benediction where, you know, I this is who I am. These are all my cards. They're on the table. This is who I am, but please accept me. Please forgive me and engage me in your service. So I really love that lecture from Radhanath Maharaj, and he made it so easy to pray. So all glories to him.
Yeah, that was very nice. That's really good points to remember.
So if anybody else wants to speak, can. Otherwise, we can end now. So thank you again, Mataji. I'll be sharing the recording soon.
Thank you, Sindukanya. Thank you so much for your wonderful class. Sorry, I could not join the time it began because we had to take Radha to an emergency, but all good now. So yeah, from what I definitely want to hear the recording because it looks like I missed so much from the beginning. But I definitely loved the part where you said the power of prayers. I remember when I was preparing for the verse that was allotted to me, I was also going through those things where what is the format to pray, and it was a nice recollection that when you put that particular slide, I think it's going to be etched in my memory now because that slide only had three points in it, and it's like a, I have to have like a picture memory in my head and try to follow that. And thank you so much for Vinay Prabhu and Lekha were glorifying you about how much you were preparing for this, and yeah, it shows in the quality of your presentation, and it doesn't feel like you were nervous at all. You were like yeah, you were having very less points in the PowerPoint, and then but you were like telling so much explanation of those each points. It was just it's like overflowing of the Ganges like that. It's just coming out of your of your mouth, and it's amazing. So you should do a lot of public speaking going forward, and definitely that will benefit all our devotee community a lot. It's a great service, like Vinay Prabhu said. It is definitely a great service that can be done. And yes, as forgive me that I did not hear your class fully, but I will definitely make sure to listen to it, and I'll reach out to you later. Hari Hari, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.
So definitely, you should speak again, Sindukanya Mataji. I mean, this was like easily one of the best classes I've heard. So the next 4 weeks, we're going to have all special speakers. So Shamanand Prabhu will be speaking next. Then Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has promised me. Then Madan Gopal Prabhu. So we're going to have a good line of speakers for the month of December. And then from January, we'll start another series. I'm still deciding whether we should do Gajendra's prayers or Vitrasura pastime. I'll keep you all posted, and then we can go from there. But again, thank you all so much for participating, and successfully we finished the whole series of teachings of Queen Kunti. Everything is posted on YouTube. If anybody wants to go back and refer to any particular verse. So thank you again for making this a wonderful success. And I think as we prepared to give classes, we learned so much also. Like how Mataji was sharing that because of this one prayer, she had to read so many other prayers as well. So that way, I think preparing for classes, giving classes actually helps us. So we're also looking forward to having Lekha Mataji and Krishnan Prabhu also speak soon. So hopefully in the next series, they both can go first, and then we can get started there. Okay, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. Ananta koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki, Sindukanya Mataji ki
Jai.
jai.
Yeah, Gaur Kumar Prabhu, Mataji and Radha Kripa, please get well soon. Yeah, I hope like all of your health is good. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Is